Rule number 3, write fast.
Oh, see, I didn't even know that. That's so awesome. Okay, write fast. The best way to write fast is to outline. And
Which was video number 2.
which was video number 2 in the series. And if you're writing nonfiction, that means asking yourself a lot of questions in order, and you can go straight through. With fiction, it means knowing what you're writing. Now, there's two major ingredients with writing fast. The first is giving yourself permission to suck. Knowing that it's okay to write with the door closed, knowing that no matter how hard you try, your first draft needs to be revised. And that's non-negotiable. Nobody, Dave and I like to get our drafts down between 6 and 10 drafts, really, because we're each working on it a few times. So we go over our copy a lot. It's unreasonable to think that you're going to have less than 3 or 4. So why struggle so hard for your first draft? It's silly. And I think that probably 90% of writers, would you say that's right, Dave? 90% of writers? I mean, we're totally pulling this number out of our butt, so there's no research here. But would you say 90% of writers just struggle through that first draft?
I think a lot of writers do. At one time or another, I think probably all writers struggle through the first. The whole problem is getting going.
Yeah.
And once you allow yourself to just write and know you're going to throw away whatever you wrote.
Yeah, and once you have that permission, it's remarkable what it does for your speed. And for me, I think it's the number one ingredient that makes me as productive a writer as I am.
One thing I learned writing for newspaper was, and it kind of goes with outlining, writing fast and outlining. If I knew something very well about a particular subject, but I didn't have all the information about another element of it, I would just skip ahead.
Yeah.
So I would outline. I would leave space for myself, come back to this, and then I would write the part I know very well because I know I could write that fast. So that I think that applies with fiction and nonfiction. The part you feel strong about, go right to that, and then go back when you're ready.
Yeah, because ultimately it's really about momentum. If you sacrifice that momentum, then it's really hard to get it back. That's when your mind starts wandering. That's when you go to Twitter. That's when you check email. It's bad. It's the difference between, because when you're in a role, it's really easy to just, you'll be shocked at how many words you can pile up. Dave blew my mind last week because we were writing something that we had to write really fast, even faster than we normally write, which is really like supersonic. And I hit my all-time career high earlier in this week. And the only reason I could hit it was because Dave, I think, hit his career high the day before on his outline. And it's amazing how that works, because it's just the confidence to keep going. And I'm not precious on my first drafts at all. Like I will literally write, maybe if I write a 5,000 words, there may be 1,000 words of absolute just drivel, just garbage, but I didn't stop. I kept going. And I know, because you never know quite where the gems in the garbage are. And it's amazing to me how sometimes I'll have 500 words that I would have totally written off. Like I just thought, oh, this is terrible. But there may be a paragraph in there that is awesome, even if the rest is crap. And then I write around that, and it kind of informs what comes before and after. There's been times when Dave's handed copy in, and he's like, ugh, I hate this. I was half asleep when I wrote the end of it. I don't even remember.
Make something of this.
Yeah, and there's some just like really great moments in there. And I think that's just keeping your subconscious juiced. And I think that's more important than any other single element, is just flow, finding your flow and knowing that it's okay. And like Dave does that where, oh, I don't know this, I'll come back to it later. I do that all the time, whether it's something that I know or I don't. Like, if I don't know something I have to look up, the last thing I want to do is go into Google and look it up, because that is not writing. If you think it's writing, you're just making excuses for yourself. If you're looking stuff up, like, oh, I don't know.
No, I'm pretty sure I have to research Facebook and see what my friends are doing.
Right.
In order to fill in this valuable nugget of information.
It's so easy, because even if your intentions are 100% honorable and you are just going to answer your question on Google, every other distraction in the world is like a click or two away. And it gets really easy to get pulled out of your writing. So you don't want to do that. You want to put, for me, I write it in all caps, or I use 2 asterisk marks in a row to know I need to come back to that later. But I'll do it. I like to give things clever names. I don't like to ever just say like they went to, well, I say they go to Applebee's, but only if I'm making fun of Applebee's. It's never like they're actually going to Applebee's. But I don't like just plain names for restaurants or hair salons or anything. I like to make up something. I think it gives a little bit of character to stories. But I don't want to stop what I'm writing to think about a cool name, because it slows me down too much. So I'll put cool hair salon in all caps. And then when I'm rewriting, that's the time to think about stuff like that. And I know Dave will he's made fun of me before here, but when you write a lot of fiction, you kind of get into the rhythm. Like, what needs to happen when, and if you can't be real specific about it because you don't have time, then you need to come back to that, because that ingredient is important there. So I'll have a character where I know he has to say something funny, or he has to say something heroic, or he has to make a decision, and I'm just not thinking of anything there, and I know I've already lost 2 or 3 minutes just staring, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. So-and-so says something heroic, all in caps. And I go on with the story, and I'll even have a character respond to what they said, and even if I have to fine-tune their response later, I didn't waste 20 minutes thinking about it, because here's the magic of the human brain. You're going to be thinking about it whether you're thinking about it or not. There's a part of your brain that's working on that problem.
Or if you have a co-writer, you're going to force them to do it for you.
That's true. And I'll tell you, I've passed on say something funnies to Dave more time than I can count, because he's a funny guy. And see, that's the thing. It's like you can always, that's the beauty of collaboration. I mean, really, that 2 brains are better. And sometimes you hit a wall, you hit a creative wall, and you don't see the angle, and someone else can see it like in seconds. And it doesn't mean that you're not capable, because you could be doing that for them for another part of the story. And that is one of the things that I love most about collaboration. But the other ingredient of writing fast is knowing what you're going to write ahead of time. So it's important to give yourself permission to suck and write that first draft as fast as you can. But beyond that, know what you're going to write ahead of time. Never come to a completely blank page. And it's been a long time since I don't thoroughly outline everything at all, but I never just sit down, what am I going to write today? I don't do that at all. If I'm writing a blog post, I have 6 or 7 points I need to hit. If I'm writing an email, before I write the email, I hit the 4 or 5 things I know I want to hit. If I'm writing a short story, a chapter, it doesn't matter. I need to have a few points ahead of time, and then I just write to those points, and I know I'm going to write a lot faster. Now, having said all of that, I would love to luxuriate in a book someday where I really do pants it from start to end and just make it up, because I think there is some kind of beautiful joy in doing that, but I can't afford to do that right now, and I don't want to do that right now. I really do want to be as productive as possible. I have partners depending on me. Like, I want to make Dave and I like the kings of the cereal, and really we have a lot of production to take care of. So it's every minute matters. But writing fast is what's making a lot of our dreams come true. And so I think every writer can improve that. The last thing I'll say about writing fast is track your progress. Know what you're good at and know where you can improve. And I started actually tracking my word count back in May 20th, I started. And every day, every time I write in my blocks, I know what times a day I write better. I know what times I write poorly. I know when I'm more inclined to be distracted. And you can look at it on a chart. I've steadily written more on average per week, unless something like disastrous happens during the week that really derails me. But if I stick to my schedule, I've gradually improved my word count every week this year, and my goal is to be able to hit 10,000 words a day, which is lofty, but I'm actually inching pretty close to it. So that's writing fast.